Words like thunder breaking through the haze. Truth in echo sets the world ablaze with faith unshaken, and a voice so bold defying shadows that are icy cold. Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might, defeating darkness, standing tall and proud. Faith in God rings out clear and loud. Chains are falling with every spoken word. Justice rises, every line is heard. From the ashes, hope begins to climb. The sound of freedom breaks through time. Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might, defeating darkness, standing tall and proud. Faith in God rings out clear and loud. No fear, no falter, the fire burns bright. Every word a spark, igniting the fight against the void where shadows creep. A voice of courage wakes those asleep. Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might, defeating darkness, standing tall and proud. Faith in God rings out clear and loud. Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might. What? Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might. Might like thunder through the fire burst. Words like thunder breaking through the haze. Words like thunder breaking through the haze. Truth in echo sets the world ablaze with faith unshaken, and a voice so bold defying shadows that are icy cold. Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might, defeating darkness, standing tall and proud. Faith in God rings out clear and loud. Chains are falling with every spoken word. Justice rises, every line is heard. From the ashes, hope begins to climb. The sound of freedom breaks through time. Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might, defeating darkness, standing tall and proud. Faith in God rings out clear and loud. No fear, no falter, the fire burns bright. Every word a spark, igniting the fight against the void where shadows creep. A voice of courage wakes those asleep. Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might, defeating darkness, standing tall and proud. Faith in God rings out clear and loud. Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might. What? Microphone of mayhem roaring through the night, spreading truth and light with holy might. Might like thunder through the fire burst. Words like thunder breaking through the haze. Words like thunder breaking through the haze. Truth in
Okay, here we go. Just getting situated in here. Now, got some interesting updates. And it looks like the chat overlay might be broken again these days. Maybe. Try something there. Make sure everything's working here. Just a moment. Welcome to all those that have shown up. Please go ahead and say hello and let me know you're here. And maybe I can find out if make sure Restream's up and running here. Just a moment. Wow, okay. Hello, Rose Picker. Glad to see you. Okay. So I know some things are working. Just okay. That's what I was looking for. Okie dokie. It's working. That's good. All right. So maybe we'll. Just gotta, some things don't want to work. Some things do. All right. Well, got some new information. Well, not new information. New things have happened. And again, I know that at some point, hello, government workers. We know you're lurking at some point, either on the replay or on the live. I don't care. I'm dealing with two temperamental computers and extra devices all at the same time. So that's why it takes me a moment to try to put things together. I'm trying to be my own producer to the best of my ability. No soundboards for now. Maybe later. But or get other things working again. But well, before we get into it, let's play their least favorite song that shows exactly who they are. And we'll talk about it.
justice, they don't hear our calls. No cloak of darkness shields their crime. Families shattered in the dead of time. Rules rewritten, hearts torn apart. The lies they tell, a master's art. Dirty hands pulling the strings. Truth lost in the chaos it brings. Behind the gavel, behind the walls, they don't hear justice, they don't hear our calls. Courtrooms echo with twisted games. Judges blind to the fire and flames. The laws they twist, the lives they break. All for control, all for their sake. They scribble verdicts on crumpled dreams. Silence the cries that burst at the seams. Who will stand? Who will fight when justice falls into the night?
Okay. Let's talk about those shadows in the system. First off, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, join on YouTube, or all the fun stuff. All right. Now that I done said that. Yeah, let's give a little history. Well, one part of the history is the two things I've talked about, the 28 CFR Part 35. There's a link to that in the description, as well as what I mentioned last night, their community-based care. There's a link to that also in the description, to that manual. That's publicly available. So, without further ado, let's talk about this a little bit. My wife has not seen our daughter since April. Part of what I was talking about last night is what happened after that. My wife's in-person / my virtual side of the visit, and how kind of hinky things happened to a computer conveniently shortly after. Okay. Well, that's pretty much the only true visit my wife has gotten for herself. There's been a couple of phone calls using a cell phone, I believe, from the home, from my daughter, and a couple of times my wife has gotten on the phone. But what my wife really needs because of her disabilities is in person. It's very difficult to see a Zoom screen. It's very difficult to hear. Even I have trouble hearing over the phone. And with my wife. And so before Memorial Weekend, we finally in discussions again to try to get her an in-person visit. And I kept trying to say I didn't want to do another phone visit until my wife and daughter had that time together. They need it for each other. As any loving husband and father would recognize and see and know. And then conveniently, the person that was working on scheduling that went on leave for a week.
The current weather is 86 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Tonight's forecast has clouds and showers.
Smart device in the background.
76 degrees.
So, court rolls around this past Monday. And yeah, again, trying to set up that in-person visit. Oh, the only day they can conveniently try to set it up for, even though school's out for the summer. Even the public school they shoved my daughter in violation of, the community-based care and our religious exceptions to it. Okay. So they start to schedule for Friday, tomorrow, for those of us that are still pre-midnight. Oh, that person was the one doing the scheduling again. That was on leave that apparently came back. Anyways, my wife was fighting with them all day. Now, the first visit, the agency was able to help provide her a ride to the in-person visit. The most that they were willing to do this time was, we'll give you a bus pass. We'll have one of our employees stop by with a bus pass. Okay. It takes 2 to 3 buses plus a lot of walking and trying to figure out where to get to those buses and things like that. My wife's vision, God bless her, is not getting any better. It's getting worse. I know it. I see it every day. And it is extremely frustrating to her. She finally, after fighting back and forth, she finally figured out a way from one of her friends that was going to help her navigate the bus system to go to the in-person visit. Kind of like, or someone else was going to give her a ride that knows exactly where the place is. But she had finally sorted it out. How she was going to get there. She was going to get there. Come heck or high water. Well, she calls back, letting them know she's got it figured out without their blessing. What did they do? They canceled it. Oh, and they sent this via text message. Couldn't even say it via voice. They had to do it via a text message. Oh, the visit's being canceled because we are moving the child tomorrow. She's having a placement change. Okay. One, you got the whole freaking weekend to do a placement change. Spawn Trooper. Glad you're here. You can come in, listen in, and you have the link if you want to join in. But basically what I had told you, Spawn, earlier is what I was going over. So at the last second, when she finally gets it sorted out, they tell her, "Oh no, the child will be doing a placement change, aka relocation, and therefore will not be able to attend." Well, if they were smart and moving her closer, how hard is it for 2 hours to divert? I mean, seriously. You're telling me they can only do one thing at a time? And then it just so happens, and this is part of the reason for some of the description tonight, my daughter happened to call from the placement she is currently at. I come to find out they were getting ready to head out to the movies, and I heard a male voice in the background. You know, not sure what was going on with that, if it was a pastor or something like that that was helping sponsor the movie outing. But anyways, a couple of things came up during the conversation with our daughter. She was still under the impression that even though her placement was going to be changing over this weekend, she was still under the impression that the meeting was happening tomorrow. Now, mind you, this was 6 p.m. local time. They done went home at like 4:30 in the afternoon, maybe 5. Except for maybe the one or two people that stay late if there's a virtual visit going on. But she was still under that same impression. Come to find out, they didn't even tell her about the cancellation or it not going through last week, which explains why on Memorial Day she had called me upset. Is they don't even have the gall to tell the children that they decided to cancel something. You get a child's hopes up, and then it's all just randomly not canceled. They're supposed to be hoes, and there's even supposed to be father's rights in Texas. Okay. But like that song I played says, they don't give two shakes. But anyways, so yeah, my daughter was still under the impression that even though the placement was going to be changed, that she would still get the visit. I had to break it to her that it wasn't going to happen. And luckily, I got to speak with her before it was supposed to take place, so I could tell her. Because there's probably a high likelihood that she won't be able to call at the new placement. Spawn Trooper, here's part of what I believe they're trying to do. They're making these things and then canceling, not telling the child, making excuses to not do it with the parent, so that way they can go back to the court and say, see, we scheduled, but the parent didn't show. The parent didn't confirm. Trying to make parents look bad as a setup. And they're probably listening to me and oh well. The truth hurts. We know they've been trying to set us up one way or another. Another thing, one, I could tell my daughter wanted to say something to me but was afraid to. They wouldn't let her. Two, it was funny, something my daughter brought up on her alleged own regarding Zoom, and that, yes, she was appearing by Zoom at the previous hearing where I wasn't allowed to appear by Zoom, but barely by voice. Because I had mentioned how she was on phone at this last hearing but she said that she said everything, but that she wasn't on phone. Like they were trying to get her to basically get me to believe something else. Try to give me a half truth without to cover up their misdeeds and the court's misdeeds. You can be as aggressive as you want, Hose, with these morons. In order to be aggressive, you got to bend over and take it up the grumpus to sit there and do whatever and do things that they legally can't force you to do. But you're you're being voluntold for services. For example, one thing they tried to shove at us is psychological evaluations. Well, in the state of Texas, for psychological / mental health evaluations, those can only be ordered by a mental health competency court. They have a specific court set up for that. Yes, a DA or someone higher up in the legal chain can make a request to the court to help give that initial order, kind of like the red flag law, as they always talk about. Yes, basically they were trying to get my daughter to say things to help deflect and smokescreen. You're right. You're completely right, Spawn. But because also another thing, after bringing up the community-based care and all some of the things I've been saying, conveniently just before changing placement, let's see, they gave her a pink Bible today. They also, before the placement change, were taking her to see a faith-based film for a movie night at a movie theater. It's one of those limited release films, if you've ever heard of Angel Studios and the stuff they put out. The Last Rodeo apparently was the movie that they were going to go see, that my daughter was telling me. Which part being counterproductive, Spawn? Or are you saying the host? Yeah, with Hose, yeah, being aggressive, yeah, it becomes counterproductive. Yeah, the way you're danged if you do, danged if you don't. Either way, you're either not complying and not, being true. But see, here's another thing. And my wife, I think I overheard my wife saying this to her attorney, is they haven't really tried to work with they haven't put together a reunification plan. I think it came out in the last couple of years. It's by Angel Studios. It's about an old it's about an old grandfather who used to ride the rodeo and trying to do something for one of his grandkids or something like that. I read a brief summary. But yeah, it's like all of a sudden but see, besides trying to do some sort of reunification plan, or address it, or here's one key thing: addressing the reason for removal. That would be part of a reunification plan. By their alleged logic and their alleged allegations, the only thing I can get of anything that would be somewhat reasonable, if I allegedly did, knock my daughter down and continue to hit her, like beat her, what they're basically trying to what they claimed, wouldn't you think one of the first things they would be trying to ask me to do would be anger management classes? that would be something they would be pushing for. But they know that I'm not that angry, and that they know that what they said was a lie. Because, I mean, everything else mentions what officer said what to them, but that one just says, a police officer said this. So completely well, that was what the newest narrative says. The original narrative said I said it to them, but my impeachment evidence video proves that wrong. Proves I did not say that. And so, and knowing that I had that video, and right before I released the video to general public when it was still in membership, I believe that's when they submitted a new document that switched it over to saying a police officer said it. Now, of course, since no police officer actually said it, because there was a police officer that said that I said it, that's double hearsay. Because no police officer would have witnessed it. And she's liking some of the food she's been getting, so. And I'll admit, a lot of the times my daughter eats out of boredom, but let's talk about that a little bit. She's lucky on, weather permitting, she's lucky to get 20 minutes a day outside. Yes, the home she's in had stairs to go up to the rooms, but really, up to your bedroom, unless you're going up and down 30 times a day, that child is not going to get the cardio that they need. And 20 to 30 minutes a day at most is not enough to do anything. I mean, yeah, my daughter is a slow walker to begin with. I mean, it can take her almost an hour to walk, over an hour to walk a mile. That's one of the things I was working on, thanks to that wonderful scooter I was blessed with. Is I would help her, and I'd either do half of it with her, riding the scooter alongside her as extra motivation, or if it was, or I'd sit in a spot and give her like a figure eight or something in the park where I could see her the whole time, and and have I had it mapped out to where I knew that 6 laps in a figure eight style that's a little over a mile or a mile and a quarter, and that was helping her get active. She was doing that 5-6 days a week. I would give her Sundays off. And we were getting ready to start working on some other training. My wife was going to start working with her, doing some, like military basic, like, learning to do push-ups and sit-ups and, lunges and things like that. Things that I'm not, definitely not. Well, one, I couldn't do when I was healthy very well. Yes, I made it out of Navy boot camp, but Navy's not Army. At least when on the physical. Navy requires a few more brains. Gotta tease you, little spawn. But anyways, yeah. But we were working on a plan. But it didn't help that we had them breathing down our necks, trying to fight them to begin with, and then and then the whole rest of the hit and hoopla. So I was hoping this would be super special and Spawn would come on stream with me, but for a special edition. But yeah, this is just I wasn't even planning on doing a live. I was going to in fact, I was planning on the next live stream I was going to do was one of my kicking it streams over the weekend. I still plan on doing that over the weekend, just a kicking it, kick back, not talking about none of this nonsense. Well, I tried to do, what was it, last weekend or the weekend before, and yeah, someone brought up something and just shot it all to heck. Spawn just by being there. And yeah, helping keep me grounded and things like that. But also, I'm going to thank you for being in the chat, because I can say this because I know they're watching these either, on the replay or live in the shadows. My buddy Spawn Trooper there is from the UK. So, for those that are listening in the government, last night you had an Australian, someone from Iowa, someone from California, someone from Alabama. You also got someone from the UK. People all over the world are paying attention to what y'all are doing. May not be a whole ton of people, but it's enough. So you're not getting away with it in the dark. Now, hoes, keep it in your bridges. I don't think the Spawn's missus would appreciate that. There's the Alabama. And I'll just say the one other person is in a New England state. So, yes, but Spawn, these people I'm dealing with, they barely know. They couldn't even find the UK out. They couldn't even find England on a map. I don't think they could find Europe on a globe if you spun it around and had them point. So, I mean, literally, what I've been dealing with and what I've been saying is these misguided misfits, these misguided managerial misfits, don't know how to read. Plain and simple. They do not know how to read the laws, because they have basically violated and twisted every single one of them. I wasn't meaning it as New England is a curse. Those. Well, it is in a way. It's not so much a curse, but this is Texas. But these people are very liberal California mindset, and by saying that even someone from another highly liberal part of the country makes them take a step back. To use generalities. Because I've seen nothing from any of them that have been involved in this case that shows that any of them have any conservative leanings. Except for maybe my wife's legal team. Those have been the only ones that seem to be Texans, conservative. Give me, come and take it. That kind of attitude. So we'll take a moment, throw up some of my other special music for this stream, and we'll see if anybody joins us. If not, that's fine as well. They don't have to.
hands move where shadows grow. They call it duty, but it's a game. Breaking hearts, leaving families maimed. Cloak of darkness, a silent theft. A home once whole, now bereft. Truth buried deep, hidden from view. The gavel strikes, justice untrue. Who's watching the watchers when they turn blind? Who's guarding the laws that twist and bind? The scales are tilted, the balance betrayed. In the court of whispers, the innocent paid. A paper shield, a judge's guise. Behind the bench, deception lies. Eyes that see but choose to stray. Turning the law into a masquerade. They rewrite the rules with a knowing grin. Where justice ends, corruption begins. Families broken, torn apart. No mercy shown, no beating heart. Who's watching the watchers when they turn blind? Who's guarding the laws that twist and bind? The scales are tilted, the balance betrayed. In the court of whispers, the innocent paid. Who's watching the watchers when they turn blind? Who's guarding the laws that twist and bind? The scales are tilted, the balance betrayed. In the court of whispers, the innocent paid.
Well, there we go. So you're hearing everything just fine there, Spawn?
It would be a good idea to actually unmute my mic.
You're bad. Bad boy.
Oh, good evening. Do you know what? I
Well, top of the morning to you, because I know it's morning for you.
And the top of the morning to you. Wait, well, hang on a minute. Do you know what? I did not realize how serious and how in depth this issue was, man. I mean, I've been sitting in the shadows, listening and just watching and listening to what's going on, and I really can't comment to anything because I've not experienced what you're going through. So it's absolute insanity, total insanity.
It is. And it's mostly because they got butthurt because our family told them a word they do not like. No.
Yeah.
And because they got hurt over the word no, we refused to, such as, no, we're not going to talk to the cops. No, we're not going to ID. No, we're not going to volunteer for your services.
And now the fact that they're harassing you. I mean, I've seen the videos, mate. I've been trying to keep up, but the fact
it's not even. I haven't even posted all of it. I haven't posted all of the videos I have. it's a work in progress.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you're going through this, man. I really am. You and your wife go through all this. It's not fair.
No, it's not. And if I can find the right civil rights and disability rights attorneys to go after them, after all of it for this, I mean, that's one of the things I do plan on attempting to do tomorrow is reaching out to certain. I'm not going to completely give everything away because I know they're listening in the background, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have already filed a DOJ report regarding my daughter's illegal handcuffing.
Yeah, I'm still finding that a little bit strange that they did that.
And but I still plan on filing a report regarding the disability rights stuff, as well as I do plan on making some phone calls tomorrow for me to state reactors to find out who would have what they call the 504 jurisdiction. I've been doing some homework.
I don't even know what that is. So
it's referring to basically, the Americans with Disabilities Act is originally based upon the Rehabilitation Act of I think it's 1974 or 75, 76, somewhere in there. There's a Rehabilitation Act. That was the original. Basically, it was the original Americans with Disability Act. Is just a lot, not as in depth as what we have now, because they didn't really have service dogs and things like that back then. Because you've touched on some of it a little bit as you've gone through some of your streams regarding things. The American 28 CFR Part 35. One of those parts covers service animals.
Oh, do you mean the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA?
88 Title 2, what they refer to as 88 Title 2.
Right, yeah, okay.
Title 1 is for employers. Title 2 is for state/government.
Yeah.
Whether it's City Hall, all the way from City Hall and welfare office all the way up to,
because I spoke about that on my stream because Lynette Preston. Well, obviously I don't want to go into it here.
You had a specific reason for talking service animals. I don't want to get too far into that. That's That's your content, your stream. I respect that.
No. I'm just saying I covered it because of what she said about the service dog, guard dog thing. Yeah.
Service, and then you got the emotional support animals, which some states have a little more guidelines on, landlord-tenant laws regarding emotional supports. Like, say, New York allows for emotional support animals to be, to kind of to fall almost, 90% within the same guidelines for tenant rights as a service animal.
So you were saying about the 504, you were going to talk about the Disabled Act. So,
there's Title 1, which covers employers. There's Title 2, which covers the state and government.
Yeah.
And also mentions theaters and stadiums, which is because the Title 3 section covers private businesses.
Okay.
Everything but churches. Churches are exempt from the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Okay. Sorry, I just had to mute your cough there. Yeah.
I hope you got your coffee on, or your Dr. Pepper, or at least a gentle cup of tea.
Oh, don't you dare use that language in front of me, sir.
Would you like a cup of Earl Grey?
Tell you, chaps. Oh.
If you know where the Earl Grey reference comes from.
I don't. I have never. I mean, I drank tea.
The gentleman that plays Captain Picard in Star Trek Next Generation.
Yes.
I forget his name. Sir Patrick Stewart.
Yep.
That was his little bit of European finesse he brought to the show. His
Earl
drink
Grey.
was Earl Grey, a cup of Earl Grey hot out of the replicator.
Yep.
So that's why I make that reference. I'm a bit of a Trekkie, I admit it. I'm not super hardcore, but I'll keep the bangers and mash out of it, hoes. But I know that's a New England favorite as well as that's why it's called New
so,
England.
so let me ask you a question then in regards to this.
Okay.
The right. So I mean, I've watched quite a bit up so far. I think that I've got my opinions in regards to the way the police dealt with it. The fact that they handcuffed your 12-year-old, where there was absolutely no need. There was no flight risk. There was no, I mean, 12-year-old, she was probably bricking it. Um, and the fact that they've sort of playing this game about trying to, manipulate her and manipulating you guys by changing the dates or canceling stuff, and can you actually like use this in the court of law when it comes to this?
Can't
I
use it
mean,
directly, specifically with these two biased judges we currently have.
right? Okay.
So we would have to go to some sort of higher level, either through appellate or civil lawsuit methods. Either having to appeal something major, getting a good de novo that takes it up fresh with someone else to start bringing some eyes. But because unfortunately, one of the worst things at the moment, hopefully it will improve once it hits the governor's desk, is what they call the SCJC, the State Commission on Judicial Conduct.
Right.
Which is the oversight board that basically, if you have a complaint against any judge in the state, family court, criminal court, civil court, they are who you file your complaint with. And current guidelines, basically, they have up to 2 years to sit on their duff and do nothing, and then say, "Oh, we investigated ourselves and we see nothing wrong," just like internal affairs. And that is partially because the current makeup of the board is mostly former, current people within the judicial system, such as judges and other bar members.
That's a good question, actually. Host Pickers just said, have you documented everything?
Well, besides recording everything I'm allowed to record, and even some things that they're saying I'm not allowed to record in certain ways. Court's a different thing. I'm going to say that. Just to cover my tookus, so they don't say I was recording the court, and therefore, I'll say when it comes to that, the recordings I did before I was admonished, and none of them have been released to YouTube and to the public. So they cannot admonish me for something that hasn't been done. It has been kept quiet, even though legally I have the right, even though the judge seems to think not.
Yeah, it seems that you guys seem to have and I don't mean this in any way negative.
We both have prior histories with these agencies and this process in other states.
No. Sorry, I meant. Sorry, I should have said it straight away. It seems that like the legal system over there is, and judges seem to be. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, this situation shouldn't be going on. I mean, this can be dealt with amicably, and it could be dealt with properly. But it seems that I don't know. It's I've not been through this.
The system. We dared to buck their not so much good old boy, their good old girl network.
Right.
Because if you look at the majority of what, basically, if you were to walk into family court, especially my case,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, you're going to have the mother, who's a female. In our case, a child that's female.
Mm-hmm.
Removing that specific aspect of it, there are next to no zero. There are, you know, as it's all as far as the legal representations, legal, you know, the judges, the attorneys, the senior people at CPS that are all doing the persecution are all females.
Mm-hmm.
Even my newest appointed attorney is a female. My previous appointed attorney was a female. My first one was a male. But shit, yeah, won't go there too much. I'll save that for after it's all said and done with, because don't need to talk about them while the case is ongoing. That's what they really don't want, is any light in their misdeeds and corruption. That's the biggest reason why they don't want me recording anything. But Texas state law says, and CPS is supposed to record all. See, the agency themselves are supposed to record every conversation. Under state law, they're supposed to be recording every conversation. But they've made it a policy to where you have to insist, because even if you request, they conveniently don't hear you. And God forbid you record the conversation, you record what's going on, and oh my goodness, you know, there he said, she said, and of course, if it's a he said, she said, the court automatically believes them. Automatic. You have zero defense. It doesn't matter if you have documents or anything proving anything. They refuse to listen. The judges refuse to listen. And one of the judges is an associate judge that I'm still trying to figure out how she even got on the bench. Because she was in a Democratic primary for an actual judgeship position similar to the primary judge. Okay. She lost the Democratic primary to someone else. But yet somehow, allegedly, 3-4 months later, she was elected for the associate judge position. Well, last I knew in the United States, you couldn't run for two positions at once like that. Especially within the same type of system. I mean, if you're like trying to run for family court judge or a judgeship over here, and like your town board over there, yeah, you can do that here in the United States, and it's done all the time. I mean, you've got more and more municipalities, more areas have outlawed it, but there's, for example, one big situation with Leroy Truth Investigations regarding a corrupt person there in New Jersey, over in New Jersey. That is both.
Can I ask you a question?
On the city board, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I do apologize. Something just dawned on me. Do you think that you're being used as a statistic?
Explain what you're thinking of as a statistic.
Well,
as basically a white child and white family stuck in the system to show that they're not targeting and being racist?
No, what I meant is, I mean, you got the RV, I'm not sure if it's non-fixed abode or you're both, you and the missus are registered disabled, correct?
Well, she receives an SSI check. I have a disability placard.
Right, okay.
I don't get the check for it, but under the Americans with Disabilities Act, I qualify.
Right. Now, one thing I've noticed in your videos, there's no one around you. So what I mean with statistics is basically what they're trying to do is, they find someone where they can go, right, okay, let's do these. It's like it's like doing a random room inspection, walking into a block and say, right, we're taking section 3. We'll do a room.
No, we have been specifically targeted from the jump.
Right.
Okay, there was stuff going on prior, but it was here and there. For example, there was a local Karen who this was, the park that we were around. Oh, it's my park. What are you doing on my park and my road? And your generator is ruining my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Even though you can't hear it very far away. Okay, one of those attitudes.
Right. Okay.
What is your ugly RV? I've seen it in some of my comments. That ugly RV. Oh my goodness. That type of people. And so there has been prior to, a year before this new citation, last year around the same time frame, the springtime around May, we were cited for what they call the 72-hour RV parking local law, which is copied over from California. It's basically meant regarding abandoned RVs.
Right.
Not actively lived in full time. So somebody doesn't park an old their old RV on the street and just leave it there 72 hours. No, it needs to go to storage or something. Okay, that's kind of what the law is meant for. That law was also done before the city started allowing RVs as auxiliary dwelling units on properties.
Right.
So that kind of wipes out the whole 72-hour rule. But so that's why this most recent citation was allegedly for the Texas state camping law, which if you read, it's private property without permission and basically references tent camping, not RV camping.
Right.
And technically we are not on any private property. One, we are parked on a public street in a mostly defunct neighborhood. And we have some stuff that and as you saw in the one video, the cop tried to say, "Oh, you're blocking the sidewalk." No, I'm not. You can actually walk through the sidewalk right here and actually get cooled down from a fan. Okay, we got a cooling fan, but on either end of where we're parked, there's stuff blocking the sidewalk. In fact, there's a major trip hazard as part of the sidewalk right in front of our RV. Literally, it's a manhole cover that if you were to drive over it fast, it's an old style manhole cover that has basically blades up on it. And then there's 2, 3 inch, about 2.5, 3 inch pipes going straight down that basically, like my dog, if she's not paying attention and so just started running right through there, it could break her leg if she gets caught in them. If one of her paws gets caught and they're right next to each other to where, you literally have to make sure you're centered over top of it in a way that you don't hit. But there's also branches from a bush / small tree, how you want to refer to it, that help kind of hide that hazard.
What a situation to be in, man. I really,
here's one of the things they said. Oh, well, we don't. They said, oh, we don't even take children away from people who do live in tents. Or their cars. So it's not about, as technically, legally, not supposed to be about the RV life. I think it's more about the fact that we are conservative, we are religious, and a belief that they do not like, because we don't personally believe in. Doesn't mean we hate anybody. It's just we just personally don't. Our religious beliefs don't believe in the rainbow pride stuff. But we have many friends who are that, who are part of that community, but they're just not out blatantly trying to promote it. You know what I mean? We're
To be
friends with
honest,
them. We talk to them, or at least but we don't hate against them. But it's all about what they see and perceive.
Can I
homeschool our daughter. We didn't want her listening to that garbage in school.
Right.
So what's the first thing they do? Plug her into public school to start getting her indoctrinated into their religious belief.
Right. Before we go down this rabbit hole, just one thing I want to say. I can't really say too much because I've never experienced what you are experiencing. But one thing I can say is that here in the UK, here in Wales, Scotland, Ireland, in England, right, there's a group of travellers. Some people, nomads,
the
travelers.
nomadic lifestyle, the gypsies.
No. This is what I mean. They are travelers, and then they are static travelers. Like you will have. Good morning, EMS. You will have Irish. You got the Irish travelers, right? You will have some of them who are static. They will find a community and they will build a community, and then they'll do. But then you have the ones that move around to different parts of the UK and Ireland. The same thing you get in Europe. Now, you haven't moved from since I've known you. You haven't moved from that spot since I've known you. So
actually, we have moved physical spots. We're still in the same city, same zip code, but we have moved physical spots more than once.
You have as well. Yeah, I remember. God,
We've been at the state park multiple times.
Yeah.
We went from being on one road to another road, and then when they had a bike thing, we went over to another area until the bike thing was over, and went back to, and then didn't even pull into the exact same spot we were in before. We were basically in the addressed lot next to it, the former, basically behind, if we were still parked in the first spot and pulled up behind, we were basically behind the spot we were originally in. We were in there before that. And then we've moved around and and even on this street, this is technically the same street, just broken up because there's part of the park and the dog park's in the way, in the middle of it. We've been in 2 locations on this specific side of the street. The first time was a little bit further back, and then we went to try to go to the state park, and then ended up pulling up into this space that we're into the spot that we're in now. Because the spot that was a little bit further back, I figured it was only going to be temporary. We were going to try and do the state park again. So I didn't park. I parked where we could do things for a couple of days, but it wasn't, but it wasn't for anything more than a couple of days. And then when we came back and knew that we were going to be in a spot for longer than just 3 days, I picked this one where I had my trailer and everything straight. I didn't even unload my scooter off in the previous spot. You know what I mean?
Like I said to you, brother, I wasn't going to stay on long, but sitting here,
I appreciate it. You stay on as long or as little as you need to. I mean, I understand time difference, and you got to get rest at some point.
No, it's like my fucking insomnia kicked in for some reason last night. Listen, let me tell you right now, you and the wife are very strong individuals, and my thoughts are with you, and I will support you no matter how I can. What you're going through, I've never personally experienced, and I can't really comment. But what I've seen is fucking despicable, to say the least. And all I can say is just,
I don't know your full history, but I do know that you have a child with an ex, and I don't know how amicable or aggressive the split was. But if you take basically an aggressive split in that situation, but instead of it being your spouse or ex-spouse, it's a government agency that you're fighting that has basically the courts in their back pocket, then you can kind of wrap your head around it a little bit. And part of this boils down to was a simple fight over whether or not my daughter even needed a standard wellness checkup. And they were insisting upon it when it wasn't needed.
I just sent you a message, by the way.
I try to be careful. I hope I'm being careful enough. I'm just
The thing is,
I'm divulging less than what you divulge yourself. I think on your own streams. I'm trying to be careful. I'm just
no. It's I'm just saying. It's like the like when people do split up and there's children involved. I've always had this rule is that when you split up, you have to work together for the benefit of the child. Now, like I said, I have never.
That's what it's always supposed to be. Even with the government agency, it's supposed to be the
Mm.
best interest of the child.
Yeah.
That's what the judge is supposed to be ruling on: is best interest of the child, not the best interest of the agency.
And that's probably where the disconnect is.
The agency has put their own interests above the interest of the child. And in fact, one part of the problem, and this is something else that I haven't really mentioned before. They have two things. They have the attorney ad litem and a guardian ad litem, which is messed up here. I mean, most states just have the one and call it a guardian ad litem, or they have or they call it the attorney ad litem. They never, in most states, either have one or the other for that is there to represent a minor child in court, which is also a scam in and of itself, because they charge if you have any sort of decent income, they charge the parents for the service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which
I don't think
they charge it. But anyways, in this case, initially for the first part of the case that got dismissed without prejudice, there was one person that did both roles. What happened when they created this new voluntary services case, that since we failed to comply with volunteering, then it's not volunteering. I mean, it makes no sense. But anyways, they just brought it up, and it completely makes no sense. But the court then left the original attorney for my daughter as an attorney ad litem, representing specifically her interests, and then they appointed from an agency as the guardian ad litem, which is to look out for the court's best interest of the child. And that same agency is also affiliated and receives a portion of the funding from the Child Protective Services Agency, or Department of Family and Protective Services, DFPS, as they're called here in Texas.
How the hell? Hang on a minute. I just need to ask a simple question. How the hell are you guys coping with this? Because like in the last 5 minutes, I've richly like glazed over because I would be losing the freaking plot by now.
We have lost the plot a couple of times with each other, I will admit, and so
that's natural, mate. That's natural. There's a lot of pressure put on both of you, for crying out loud.
But it helps to some degree. It helps. We've been here before. We've got T-shirts from this before in other states. And we know what we're looking at. And it does help that for example, in my case on this site, before I wasn't disabled. Now I was disabled technically the last time in New York, but I had the placards in too. But this time it also helps that there's more information out there on the internet
Yeah.
that's available, such as me finding out about all these ADA rights and rules that they're violating,
Yeah.
left, right, and lost the plot of center. Um,
And plus, you're not alone. You've got people around you who'll listen to you.
well, in some ways we're alone, in some ways we're not. I mean, that's part of the reason why, when I'm doing these live streams, usually my wife is off doing a girls' Bible study with some other uh, female friends that are also RVers, campers, van lifers, things like that in the
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And EMS, yeah, it can make you feel sick. I mean, if you go through if it wasn't for our faith, we would have buckled long ago. I mean, that's the one biggest thing that helps keep us, no, sorry, Spawn Trooper, I'll partially sing it. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. Yeah.
Hey, you sing away, fella. It's not going to bother me. You don't have to apologize.
But, well, it's an oldie but goodie. I mean, granted, most of our modern hymnals we use came from England.
Why is it? Well, I can't really comment on that because I mean, some of the hymns that we used to sing. Anyway, I don't want to get distracted. I don't want to derail it.
I don't mind the zero. I got the main. I already got the main stuff out, and since I was hoping you would come on stream, you told me you might. That's why I called it special. That was the special edition.
Well, I mean, I didn't realize that. Well,
Not
apparently
only
I
the
am.
fact that it was a Thursday, but it was a Thursday and it was unplanned. But
Yeah, I mean, to be honest,
my buddy Cooper is here.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I wasn't going to come on. I just needed to decompress, and I turned my game on, and then like obviously we got chatting and that, and I was like, yeah, okay, then I'll just wait and we'll let you talk, give you the space that you needed, and then I thought I'd wait and then I'll come on. But I can't relate to what you're going through, dude. I really can't. You know, and I'm sorry that you are going through it. This situation shouldn't happen. Instead of trying to
And
tar
the thing
you,
is, what a lot of people don't realize, this has been going on. This started December 27th, locally.
Mm.
Okay, just before New Year's. Well, actually, technically, it kind of started in early December with a certain Austin police officer, a couple of Austin police officers, and one of them I filed a report on. That's another body camera video that I'm going to blur a little bit because it's mostly just inside, and it's more about what I was said, about what I saw outside than anything else. Is because just before I had submitted my complaint that got forwarded to IA regarding this officer violating policies in a way that screams someone's going to get hurt. My wife had already told me that certain other people, some of these are her girlfriends here. She's doing Bible study with. Also started getting harassed after filing complaints against this officer for the attitude that he gave. So when I filed that, and then and around the same time, there was two officers that basically, where we were parked, pulled front to back, side by side, driver, door to door, driver door to driver door. Basically, a road that's only about 3 vehicles wide. They were blocking pretty much the majority of it with the way they pulled up, and then they both went black. Cab lights, outside, exterior parking lights, all of the lights were off. And that's why I started up that body cam, because I thought it was real fishy like they were getting ready to come outside and do something to harass us or worse.
Mm.
And they were two APD vehicles. And they just happened to do it right in front of my RV. I mean, like 30 feet in front of my RV, 20, 30 feet in front of my RV. Okay. And then, eventually I get told the holidays come and go, Christmas comes and goes. And then my wife had the shopping bag incident. And the next thing you know, we've got officers up our duff. And because, it's even mentioned, my daughter told that officer no. And that little officer got butt hurt and filed this whole bogus complaint. Well, she got butt hurt, but apparently the other officer who, even though I cleared my VIN number on my RV so he could check and verify that it's not stolen, still turned around and filed a CPS
Wait.
complaint.
Whoa. Wait. Whoa. Fucking hold the phone. Rewind. Go back to the part where you said the cop approached your daughter.
Okay.
No, just that part, because I've got two questions on that one.
Okay. The female officer banging on our door, demanding we come out.
Your daughter.
Basically, the house door.
Why are they approaching? Wait, they should be approaching you, not your daughter.
No,
She's a minor.
Oh, you said daughter. They didn't. Well, no, it was one of those. Oh, you have a child inside. Have her come out. But she didn't even come out. She came to the doorway. At the top of the door with the screen door shut, and through a dirty screen, that female officer confused my wife's feet and teeth for my daughter.
Whoa. Oh.
In the report, saying that my daughter had a foot fungus and had rotten teeth. You served the desert. How many people that came out of all that and also lived the rough life have perfect teeth?
Shit, most of them. Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, like at the end of the day, if you ended up eating sand, then obviously your teeth are going to get grinded away, and depending if you look after them. But
my wife also had in her past after her service, and she'll tell you, she is a recovering addict. Okay, she got into the drugs and alcohol and stuff too, but she also got the infamous Army foot rot.
Yeah, and fucking over there, it was sandflies that used to cause the fucking problems. And you had to be careful, because if you didn't dry your feet properly, don't forget, after you've showered or you've washed, your feet are going to sweat. So you need to make sure that they're aired and dried. And that was one of the problems over there.
Well, there were many problems in Iraq and Afghanistan, but yeah. But luckily for me, I was never on the ground in those locations. Okay. At most, I was Operation Southern Watch in the Persian Gulf. Unfortunately, no fly zone temporarily. Went through the Suez. I didn't quite get to be a shellback, but we did zip around and then zip back over Thanksgiving and Christmas. 95.
But the thing is, I mean, like, funny you mentioned about fucking desert and sandflies. Well, I mentioned sandflies. Funny you mention that is because I can remember talking to a mate of mine who came back after I was over there, and he had all the way, I say, about 3 or 4 inches below the knee. He had continuous issues with his skin. And then afterwards we found out, I don't know if it's true or not, but afterwards we found out it was something to do with the sandflies.
Oh, it's real simple. That was my daughter's favorite shirt, and she likes to play And she likes to play outside and get down and dirty in the dirt. On the one hand, she can be a little bit of a princess, but when it comes to playing, she's a kid. And you got to realize that the front of her clothes being dirty, I'm sorry, but it's like 5, 6, we're talking 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. Plus, she picks out her own outfits. And if she wants to throw on one piece of clothing versus another, I can only do so much as a parent. Because that was one of her favorite shirts that she liked to go outside and play in. Plus, this is Texas, and so what makes her feel comfortable in the heat. You know what I mean? So clothes get dirty. But in that case, actually, believe it or not, that shirt had just been washed. Those were stains from previous play. Wasn't even dirty. It was stains. Maybe a couple of cat hairs when she picked up the cat. That was part of the problem. But, yeah. But see, that's what a lot of people don't understand. You can't keep a child clean 24/7. You can't keep, if you live in your house, you cannot keep it 100% clean 24/7.
No. As a parent,
You're going to
I
have some clutter here, some clutter there, because it's called being lived in.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's relevant. I mean, they would use that as an excuse, but kids are kids. I mean, like, I don't know about anyone else.
Some people, Hose basically picked up on something that some of the commenters have harped on.
Mm.
Oh, well, that child shouldn't be that dirty, blah, blah, blah. You even know what it means to be a child. Come on.
I mean, at some point, everyone was a child. When I was
We are in a park surrounded by dirt and trees and grass and squirrels and deer, and raccoons.
I mean, when I was 12 years old, we used to jump into rivers, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You leave with clean clothes, you come home, and your parents are like, look at go, no, you can strip before you come in. You have to strip on the outside.
I'm Gen X, and that, heck, I'm a kid. I may not have been one of those kids that got super dirty all the time. But heck, even when I was a kid in the 1980s, I'm a Gen Xer.
I thought I was going to say 1880s then, but okay.
Yeah, 1880s. No, that's you, Spawn.
And that jealousy won't get you nowhere because I've still got the looks.
No, you still got the voice with the looks.
Oh boy! Oh no! Right, I need to shoot off. I need to go, dude. Yeah. Okay. Right. Listen. Being a
Gen Xer, but yeah, we all played in the dirt, stuff like that. But one of the things I wanted to say was that me growing up in our household, we only bathed once a week, and that was usually Saturday nights
when it rained,
Sunday morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
On your way out, I believe this is. Let's see if I got the right one. There's one of these. Let's see which one it is. That is a reggae version of my song here for you.
Wait, what?
I did do one specific reggae.
What?
Is this one it?
A mic in my hand.
Yep, there you go.
And a fire in my chest. Words of truth ignite the quest. Breaking chains with every rhyme. Faith in God stands
I like this one.
of time. Miller's Mayhem mic, shining bright, spreading truth and casting light, defeating darkness with a holy rope, faith the shield and love the core. The stage is set, the battle's begun. Evil's grip undone, one by one. With every verse, the shadows flee. God's power flows through you and me. Mash it up with a righteous twist. Turn the tables with every fist. Mayhem's mix breaks through the haze. Evil shatters under heaven's gaze. retreat, no backing down. Truth and light where the victor's crown. Evil trembles as the anthem flies. The mic becomes the sword that never dies. Miller's Mayhem mic, shining bright, spreading truth and casting light, defeating darkness with a holy roar. Faith the shield and love the core.
Okay, yeah, that one I did specifically because of you and your reggae there, Spawn. So
That actual fact, I actually quite like that. That was actually very quite nice, very calm, very relaxed. You know, that was
no,
really
it's
really
not
nice.
quite as good as your reggae loofah tunes, but
Do you know what? I tell you one thing. J.K. Fields and the Erratas, they're just absolute gods when it comes to music. I've done a new one, but I'm not. Yeah, I'll the next time I go live, I'll
but
play it for you.
although you're not Navy, I think you'll appreciate this one because it uses words nobody uses anymore.
Oh, yeah, why? Yeah, in the heart. You know. What I mean? Well,
You
then again,
you, you, you can walk out on this one if you want, but here you go.
The angels rise from shadows deep. They guard the vows we fail to keep. With fire in eyes and wings of might, they pierce the dark and call the fight.
All right, guys, take care.
Angels of mayhem bring the truth. Jehovah's justice cuts through the slough. Corruption cannot run nor hide. True justice comes like a rising tide. They tread where no one dares to go. Through cities stained by greed's cruel glow, the wicked tremble, hearts confined, as light reveals what's left behind. Hi! Angels of mayhem bring the truth. Jehovah's justice cuts through the slough. Corruption cannot run nor hide. True justice comes like a rising tide. No gold, no lies can bribe their way. No shadow shield the break of day. The righteous thunder shakes the ground. Their call for balance knows no bound. Angels of mayhem bring the truth. Jehovah's justice cuts through the slough. Corruption cannot run nor hide. True justice comes like a rising tide.
That was a good tune. That.
I try to come up with some things decent, and because yeah, I had to look on a different device to see what you were sending me there backstage. Yes, me and my wife have seen proof that Spawn Trooper is a Army veteran of this country. So
Appreciate
those that
that.
try to say otherwise are very ill-informed, misinformed. This is an M night. Yeah, those miscreants are misinformed.
Yeah,
Mike.
but the thing is, at the end of the day, you know, there's more important things to think about and worry about right now. You know, but
There's so many things that are important to worry about. I mean, whether it's on the local community,
mm,
state, or in your case, well, I guess Wells is considered a state. Um,
well, from what I've been hearing, it's well, I'm not going to go into
but
it tonight.
you know,
It's not,
national, international levels, yeah, global.
yeah,
There's so
yeah,
many different things to worry about at so many different stages and levels that if you're not careful, it can overwhelm someone.
yeah.
But I do
And
know for a fact we are in the end times, and
mm,
I can't wait for that final trumpet to sound.
um, all I can say is that basically, you know, some people need to stay in their lane. Some other people just need to stop talking. And people like yourself, you have to put up with what you've been putting up with for quite a while now.
Well, as
Um,
Scripture says, blessed are those who are persecuted for His name's sake.
you know, but
And
listen, my brother, I need to shoot because otherwise, because the thing is now I need
you've
to
been
stay
shooting
awake
all
now.
day with that dark side game.
Dead side. Do you know what? I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I just want to pick a fight in that airfield. I don't know if you saw it.
No,
Um,
I mean, I watched you gaming a little bit yesterday, but
yeah,
today's gaming, well, day before yesterday for you, I guess.
yeah,
But I'll admit, I'm not huge into the game. Usually, I just come in for the chat and just to be quick, the quick draw you need sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
mean,
for the
I
most
nearly
part,
had.
everyone's behaving, so it's not too much of an issue. And that you have other heavier wrenches that work really well too.
Yeah. And also I just wanted to make sure that I just thought I'd come in and just give you a little bit of company as well, you know.
Oh, I appreciate it. It is a blessing to have, at least instead of just sitting here talking to myself for an hour or two.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm talking and conversing with the chat. I mean, you know it. You're there. You know, you do the same. You have your stream,
Yeah.
but when you're on panel, when you have like say in your case, I know you've been going with Squid. They're
Oh,
on
that was
Squid
that was
panel.
fun. That was
I'm
fun
not going
yesterday.
with Squid. Let me rephrase that before somebody tries to twist it. Those dingle dongs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're going on her stream with certain stories and discussions.
Yeah.
That's what I was meaning to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you understand it's a different atmosphere.
Yeah, it's I mean it's completely different because the thing is when you're on like when I'm on Squids, you just put everything to one side and you deal and you discuss the topic at hand. Like
Well,
here.
even when you had my pretty on your stream, guessing
Yeah.
on your stream was y'all had a specific way of doing things and talking certain topics you'd talk about
Yeah.
and you know
I mean, I may at some point.
constructive criticism, Spawn. Sometimes I hear you basically talking about the same thing 3 or 4 times sometimes in the stream.
Yeah, I
when you're
know.
when you're really going, you'll talk about something, and on the one hand, it's great for those that came in late, but then you
I know. What you're saying? I'm a parrot.
sometimes you need a little derailment.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't listen. I don't mind it, but sometimes there's things I need to say correctly because you know what some people are like. People will take anything out of context, but if you need to make well for
Oh
me,
yeah,
I need to make sure that I say it correctly. You know,
And just like I said in your chat on the last one last time I was there, you
yeah,
know, all these people keep sending hugs. You're saying that, you know, slow down on the hugs to the missus. She's getting a little frustrated.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, no, if
Yeah.
everybody tried to send hugs to my missus, she'd be ready to sit there and start bringing out a rolling pin, a frying pan, or some knives.
Yeah.
Run!
I mean, we had a giggle
She's not
last
a
night.
big hugger, but
Yeah,
I said her around said 73s. But you know that's why there's two things in amateur radio: 73s, the best regards, best wishes, versus 88s are the hugs and kisses.
yeah, yeah. There was definitely yeah, a lot of hugging going on.
Although
But
what you describe as basically picking her up off the ground, that's what my grandmother taught me were the bear hugs, where you squeeze and lift. You
yeah,
know, basically crack their back in the process.
yeah. Exactly. I mean,
Those are the bear hugs. Those are reserved for special occasions.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's been I'll be honest, it has been a fantastic night. But
That was
anyway,
my
I'm gonna
grandmother's version of pinching cheeks was a bear hug. She
yeah.
didn't get the cheek pinch. We got the bear hugs.
Well, I'm going to take my leave, brother, and I will catch up with you at some point. Okay.
All right, maybe one of these days when things have all calmed down across the board, you'll have me as a guest on yours.
Oh,
I think you.
absolutely. I
I
mean,
haven't heard. I remember
yeah. I mean,
those tunes I made for you. I heard you played them a couple times, and that was it. I I, I
yeah.
I feel so offended.
I mean, like the like. Oh crap!
At
I
least I
mean,
got a good smile out of you, Spawn. And this is how I deal. This is part of how I deal. Is
I
when
hear
stuff
you.
is really hitting the wall.
Yeah,
That and they don't realize that my family tree, we are so stubborn of one side of my family tree, we will
yeah,
argue with a brick wall if we think we're right. Okay.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's
And
like,
God forbid we know we're right, that brick wall's in trouble.
yeah. I mean, just give me a chance to say that I am gonna. I mean, like once I start, because there's a lot of stuff I need to do to settle in properly. I mean, I haven't had a chance to actually settle in properly, but um, I am gonna come up with some idea where you just wait and see. I'll let people know. I'll let people know.
All right.
I have
And don't
I
forget
have a
to eat
cunning plan.
don't forget to eat your Yeeties and stop
uh,
dreaming of eating sheep.
just fucking start on
You
my
silly
sheep,
bugger.
sunshine.
You silly bugger.
You keep my sheep out of this. Anyway, I'm
It's
going to
nice to
leave
be
you,
able
brother.
to actually say it instead of just type it. Because sometimes I miss it and type
I
it.
know,
I messed
I
up.
know. It's very easy to take things out of context. I've noticed that over the last few months. But anyway, I'm going to leave. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
And
very much for stopping by. I so appreciate it. It
not a problem. Not a problem. But
helps me relieve some of the pressure and stress out
yeah,
of my noggin.
yeah, that's not a problem. You're always welcome, fella.
All
But
right. Besides trying to create these silly AI songs.
But I'm going to shoot now. All right. So you have a good night.
Pew pew. Bye.
Bye bye. You.
You eat your Yeeties. All right. So, that all being said and done, anyone else around here want to say hello? Don't forget to like, subscribe, join on YouTube. Memberships are really cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. Um, I do have some other content coming into that area, into the members only, or at least it will be first released into members and then go out to general public. And some of it is sort of behind the scenes type stuff. I just got to make some minor edits. I'm making sure everybody can see it instead of getting a crick in their neck. Okay. If there's nothing else, minute. Let's go ahead and play one other tune in case. And hello, dear. I'm just wrapping it all up, but play a couple songs here. See if anybody else wants to say anything. Play a little bit, play some music.
The skies are burning with a holy might. Flames of glory piercing through the night. Shadows scatter when the sword ignites. Angels rise to when the endless fight.
I know she's heard of it, Daniel.
Thunder rolls as the heavens divide. Wings of vengeance sweeping far and wide. Truth shall shatter every wicked lie. Justice reign from the eternal sky. Angels of mayhem, the reckoning fire. Truth and light, their only desire. Evil crumbles in the face of their sight, bringing Jehovah's justice blinding
Don't worry, we got one more. This is the outro song after this. So
Chains are breaking under righteous prayers. The song of battle fills the burning air. No shadow stands when the angels dare.
From the ashes of a world once torn, truth is rising, a new dawn is born. The battle rages, but the light won't fade. Justice marches with the swords they've made. Angels of mayhem, the reckoning fire. Truth and light, their only desire. Evil crumbles in the face of their sight, bringing Jehovah's justice blinding
all right, well, y'all get to have fun saying goodbye in the chat. I'm going to put on the final song. It's the final countdown.
Yeah. The mic is hot, the words take flight. Cut through the chaos, pierce the night. A weapon of truth with a righteous glow, defeating the dark where shadows grow. The microphone of mayhem sings so loud, spreading light, breaking through the crowd. Faith in God guides the way we fight. Truth and love ignite the darkest night. Every word a spark, every line a flame, burning deceit, tearing down the blame. With faith as the armor and love as the sword, we march on strong in the name of the Lord. No fear, no falter in this holy quest. The voice of the righteous will never rest. Against the tide of lies we take our stand, with the microphone blazing it in our hand. The microphone of mayhem sings so loud, spreading light, breaking through the crowd. Faith in God guides the way